I mean, you were on death row. You were accused falsely of taking the lives of, I think it was 3 children.
Yes.
This is one of the suspects in our new case, a puzzling mystery about 3 innocent kids from West Memphis, Arkansas, known as the West Memphis Three case, involving Damien Echols, Jason Baldwin, and Jessie Misskelley Jr. They were convicted in 1994 as teenagers for the triple murder in Crittenden County. Welcome to Crime Circuit. We're going to be diving deep into this video. Condolences to the families. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let's dive into it. What happened to the accused? Who are they really? Embrace yourself, because there's a shocking twist. Some say this case is linked to a satanic cult. It all began on May 5th, 1993 in West Memphis, Arkansas, when 3 8-year-old boys, Steve Branch, Michael Moore, and Christopher Byers, were reported missing. The first report came from Christopher Byers' stepfather, John Mark Byers. Around 7 p.m., the boys would last be seen playing together around 6:30 p.m. with Terry Hobbs, Steve Branch's stepfather, reportedly calling them home. Initial searches that night, both by the police and the community, were limited. A more comprehensive search would begin the next day at 8 a.m. on May the 6th, primarily focusing on Robin Hood Hills. Despite an extensive search, the boys would not be found, and at 1:45 p.m., the juvenile parole officer Steve Jones discovered a boy's shoe floating in a muddy creek, leading to a drainage canal in Robin Hood Hills. Subsequent searches uncovered the bodies of the 3 boys, hogtied with their own shoelaces, trapped among sticks. Their garments were discovered in the creek. Christopher Byers had severe injuries, and I cannot discuss those due to YouTube guidelines, but it would be reported that his death was noted as multiple injuries, while Moore and Branch were determined to have died from multiple injuries with drowning. Initially, police suspected sexual assault, but later, expert testimony questioned this conclusion. DNA traces were found, but experts disagreed on the cause of Byers' wounds, with prosecution experts suggesting a knife attack. This case gained national attention, but the investigators faced a challenge that were new clues to identify person or persons responsible. Rumors of a satanic cult involvement quickly circulated due to the disturbing state of the boys' bodies, the location in the woods, the nudity, and the specific positioning of the bodies. Chief Inspector Gary Gitchell publicly mentioned that the police were exploring various explanations for the murders, including the possibility of cult activity. Just days after the incident, the cult theory precedes more conventional ideas throughout the investigation, such as believing someone familiar with the boys might be responsible. Jerry Driver, a juvenile probation officer in Crittenden County, played a role in promoting the idea of a satanic cult in the area. His convictions were influenced by the interactions with Damien Echols, a teenager under his supervision following an arrest for burglary and sexual misconduct. Driver grew increasingly convinced of Echols' involvement in the satanic cult, although Echols denied any ties to Satanism, but admitted to practicing magic.
Yes, I've never had a lot of the same interests that other people have, like sports, things like that. I've never been into anything like that.
Jason Baldwin and Damien Echols were unlikely friends, considered social outcasts, yet spent significant time together. While Baldwin excelled in school and refrained from Echols' foray into magic, their differences did not deter their friendship. The third suspect, Jessie Misskelley Jr., had minimal connections to Echols and Baldwin except for babysitting for Vicki Hutchinson, a woman assisting the police in their investigation. Hutchinson, curious about the case, persuaded Misskelley to introduce her to Echols, a prominent suspect. Hutchinson claimed that she convinced Echols to take her to a witches' gathering, and Misskelley joined them. Following this, Misskelley underwent several hours of police questioning, during he confessed, implicating himself, Echols, and Baldwin. However, his confession didn't align with the known details of the crime, and he contradicted himself during the process. Despite the inconsistencies, the police arrested Misskelley, Echols, and Baldwin on June 3, 1993. Shortly after his confession, Misskelley recanted, citing confusion due to police behavior. Despite this, the 3 boys remained in custody, and legal teams prepared for trial.
We, the jury, find Jessie Lloyd Misskelley, Jr. guilty of second-degree murder, Jason Baldwin guilty of capital murder, Damien Echols guilty of capital murder.
This doesn't change.
He didn't need them, but he took their mind and he manipulated them. And they prayed to Satan and they prayed to the devil. And they had their satanic worship services out here. And they had all types of wild homosexual orgies, I've been told. Crazy things.
Previously owned by Chris Byers' stepfather, John Mark Byers, was found with blood. Byers had given away the knife after the murders, and the blood matched both Chris and Mark Byers. However, the police didn't pursue this lead. Another potential information from a local Bojangles restaurant where an employee witnessed a blood-covered man entering the night the boys disappeared was also ignored. The police collected blood samples but failed to follow up on this lead, eventually losing the evidence. Due to Misskelley's confession, his trial was separate from Baldwin and Echols. Misskelley declined to repeat his previous statements, and his trial began on January 26, 1994. Baldwin and Echols were tried a month later. Cult indicators like music collections and clothing were presented along with other circumstantial evidence. Both juries found the defendants guilty, sentencing Misskelley and Baldwin to life with an additional 40 years for Misskelley and Echols to death. Post-trial, the defense teams pursued appeals citing misconduct and introducing new evidence. The case unraveled further as Hutchinson admitted to pre-jury alleging police coercion and juror misconduct was revealed. With new evidence linking DNA to Steve Branch's stepfather, Terry Hobbs, a new hearing was secured. The West Memphis Three case has drawn widespread attention and support. In 1996, a documentary called Paradise Lost: The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills was released by Bruce Sinfiski and Joe Berlinger, aiming to keep public interest alive. Friends from LA created the Free West Memphis Three website to raise awareness and funds for the defense. Mara Levitt's book, Devil's Knot: The True Story of the West Memphis Three, challenged the case's integrity, supported by celebrities like Eddie Vedder, Johnny Depp, and Natalie Maines. After failed appeals, the Arkansas Supreme Court ordered a hearing in 2010 to assess new evidence potentially exonerating the West Memphis Three. Despite inconclusive evidence, the defense team, led by Stephen Braga and Patrick Benka, support and sought for a new trial due to past misconduct. During the ongoing negotiations, lawyers Benka and Braga proposed the Alford plea for the West Memphis Three, where they'd say that they're guilty but still claim innocence to avoid the risks of a new trial. Jason Baldwin was unsure at first, but he agreed to protect Damien Echols from the penalty. On August 19th of 2011, a judge approved the unusual plea, ending the complex case after 18 years. The defense team hoped for pardons from Governor Mike Beebe, but he seemed doubtful. While the release marked the case's close, questions about the legal conduct of both sides linger. The murders won't be reinvestigated, leaving uncertainties. The West Memphis Three won't get compensation or a clear name for the crimes they pleaded guilty to. Despite this, the case remains in the spotlight, with documentaries and films continuing to explore the intricacies. In 2012, West of Memphis premiered at Sundance. A movie version of The Devil's Knot started, and Echols shared his story with the memoir, Life After Death. In 2021, Damien Echols, 10 years after being released from prison, emphasized he's going to output a pursuit of any remaining evidence to retesting. He aimed to prove the innocence of the West Memphis Three and identify the actual perpetrators. Despite his requests since early 2020, officials claim that the evidence has been lost or destroyed in a fire. Condolences to those families and rest in peace to those children, first and foremost.